Let's believe and pray. Our Father, who is above, we come to thee again as this time, Father. Let you be with us and guide us until the end for this month of prayer in Jesus' name.
Mzuri. Happy day. Happy Sabbath. Hapo sasa.
Now, this is how it works. We'll do the 479. 479, we will breathe in at a count of 4, and then we will hold that air for 7 seconds, and then we will release it slowly at a count of 9. So, don't do slowly breathe in. As you breathe in, your stomach should be going out, not inside. So, me I'll be counting. You do the breathing. So, let's start. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Release through the mouth. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You're trying to breathe. Okay, let's do it again. Please free up yourself. Slowly. Free up. Don't hold your chin. You're free up, kabisa. Alright. Okay, I don't have money. Again, breathe in. 1. No, we are late. We are standing. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Release through the mouth. 1, 3, 5, 6, 7. That's right. You're right. All right. So that's a nice exercise to freshen the mind. You may take your seats.
Asante.
All right. So this is a family life session. We'll try to be really short so that we can have time to ask Brother Robinson questions. Yes, I really hoped I would do this with my most amazing husband, but he could not be here. And it's, but our brother is here, he'll help as well. But I'm waiting for you to... We will learn a few principles. Now, the reason why we sang that little song, it has become my favorite song because I believe that's just what God would want for me. Niwe na uzuri kama wa Mwokozi. That's the standard. And I really thank God for today. I've really been blessed personally with the messages. Imenionyesha kuna tumaini na haijashukisha standard. The standard has been even raised higher, but I thank God that there is grace for every person. Now we'll share a few principles as regards courtship and marriage, in as much as sometimes I feel quite irrelevant speaking about marriage and courtship in campus. Because, well, as we'll see, I don't know, like, unaambia nini first year about courtship. It's really not time. Even some fourth years. But anyway,
Mapema ndio best. Mapema ndio best.
we will learn all the same.
Mapema ndio
It's where
best.
we learn. Personally, believe it or not, I did not date all my 4 years of campus.
Na ulipatikana
And
aje?
it's not because I'm ugly. I was very beautiful then. Acha sahi. Mama imenishika. But I did not. Not because I had very serious principles, by the way. I just had a strict dad who didn't allow his daughters to have relationships until they were 24.
Wow.
But I think I assimilated the principles and lived up to them.
Wow.
But it's important to note that these things are holy things. That's why you don't just date on court for the sake of courting. Now, I think Elder, allow me to call you Elder. In the morning, he shared that there's something called patience, the virtue called patience, and doing things at the right time. That is what God blesses. But all the same, let's learn a few principles about marriage and courtship. What is allowed, what is not allowed, and then we'll have time to. Yes? Is it too far? You're sure the casting is it? Okay. So, we'll put that in text. But first and foremost, Jesus has never forced any man into celibacy. You know what celibacy is? That rare gift, we call it rare, that rare gift of being able to spend your life just by yourself with no earthly ties. Of course, you have mothers and sisters, which is family still, but as regards to marriage, God has never forced it upon anyone. And when He came to us, actually immediately after creation, day 1, He creates the light, day 2, the atmosphere, day 3, land and plants, day 4, stars, moon, and the sun, day 5, birds and fish, day 6, human beings. And He looks at His creation na anasema ni vyema sana. And He gives man dominion over all the earth. He allows Adam to name the animals, and He puts in Adam a realization that he is not complete. In as much as everything was very fine, he still needed something that he did not have, and that was a companion. And God put him into a deep sleep, and He took out of his left rib cage, a rib, and out of it He forms a woman, and He brings it to him, and he realizes this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh, and together they have dominion over all the earth. And God tells them, go and do what? Multiply and subdue the earth. So the essence of marriage, companionship, is important to God for many reasons, which we will see as we go by. But God has never forced it upon any man. But that does not mean you cannot be celibate, as we shall see as we go by. Now, we are told something that we also need to check. In as much as God does not enforce celibacy, we are also told that in this age of the world, as the earth's history is soon to what? Close, and we are about, I'm finding it hard reading from there, and that's too far. About to enter upon the time of trouble, which Brother Robinson just mentioned a few minutes ago, such as never was, we are also warned that the fewer the marriages contracted, the what? The better, both for men and women. God loves marriage. It is His desire that through the marriage union, we will understand something of the God. Just understand something. We cannot fully fathom the Godhead and all that works in it, but through the human relation, we can see the relationship between God the Father and God the Son, and equally, we can understand the amazing love between Christ and His bride, the church. Are you together? These are things that God, it's an object that God is using to teach humanity, because our minds are dull of much more deeper truth than we can see. Yet, even as we go through to the time of trouble, we are told the fewer the marriages, the better. And we will understand why. Because the devil is in the business of ruining usefulness of young people by conjoining them with people who will render them useless. Now, God's purpose for marriage, we are told, that's the Adventist home, page 15, that home should be made all that the word implies. It should be a what? A little heaven on earth. The way we imagine heaven to be, I really don't know how your mind is, but personally, every time I think about heaven, I think about my mansion, which God is preparing. Now, leave alone the spiritual connotation where Christ is interceding for me and making it possible for me, the sinner, to eventually find a place in God's kingdom, but equally the real physical mansions that we shall have. All that, screaming, sorry, let me reduce the shrillness of my voice. But God desires that homes shall be little heavens on earth. And if there's a statement that I find that scares me a lot, and it's repeated so many times in the spirit of prophecy, it says that not one in 100 families result happily. You know how much that is? Not one, that means zero. I don't know. But like only one out of 100 families end up being happy. That's a very scary statistic. Yet God desires that the family would be a what? A little heaven on earth. Why are families not resulting happily? We will see some of the practices that ruin happiness in family, even if, okay, I don't know, I didn't have such effects. I find them really weird. Now, messages to young people, page 461. We're told that the marriage institution was designed of heaven to be a what? A blessing to man. But in a general sense, it has been done what? Abused in such a manner as to make it a dreadful curse. Instead of being the blessing that God intended, to a large extent, imekuwa laana. And that's why we're told not one in 100 families result happily. Before marriage, you always envision how happy you're going to be, how by each other's side you're going to be, how beautiful. But the moment you get there, things always don't work out the way we envision them, and many people quit. I have a friend in Nairobi, they are less than 1 year old in marriage, and they've split. Kila mtu ashaenda njia yake. Thank God they didn't have children yet, because that makes people stay and make each other's lives more miserable because of children. But anyway, the blessing is still in it even to date. Yet, it has been abused to a great extent, and that's why it may not be so desirable today. Now, this is what I mentioned earlier. That's messages to young people. But there basically we'll simply read from Spirit of Prophecy, a few Bible verses. I want to be as fast as I can. We're told that Satan is busily engaged in influencing those who are wholly unsuited for each other to unite their interests. He exalts in this work, for by it he can produce more misery and hopeless woe to the human family than by exercising his skill in any other. There are many other ways Satan can make the human family miserable. But what is his key skill? Uniting people who are totally unsuited for each other. And he knows that that way he has ruined your usefulness forever. Okay. Can we remove the speaker? Let us clear. There are thousands, we are told, that are what? They are mated, they are married, they are conjoined by law. But they are not what? Matched. The books of heaven is burdened with the problems, the woes and wickedness, and the abuse that lie hidden under the marriage mantle. This is why I would warn the young who are of marriageable age to do what? To make to make haste slowly in the choice. Equally make haste slowly, even in deciding to become part of the married thing. Unless you are of age, you're totally mature and ready for it. I don't know whether we'll get to that point to understand how do we know we are ready for it. But so the path of married life may appear what? I don't want to discourage you. The path of marriage may appear beautiful and full of happiness, but why? Yeah. Why do you think you won't be disappointed as many thousands have been? But the problem is who? Satan, who is in the business of making people who are totally unsuited for each other. Satan. Now he comes into our lives, convinces us to look into this sister, to this brother, and we ignore serious indicators that they are not suited for us because we just want the pride. You know, I'm married to whose and whose daughter. Hebu niulize, I hope it's not a first year. Wangapi wako na mtu? Unajua hiyo neno. Sasa huwezi inua mkono. Yeah? Hakuna?
Utachoma sasa.
All of you here are single.
Sasa utachoma.
Praise God. Praise God.
Amen.
Yeah. I hope it's not the reason why you came to this rally.
Utafuta mtu.
Because that sister of TTU who never replies will eventually show up here. Now, make haste slowly. Satan is in the business. A home can be all that it can be, a little heaven on earth. But we must do what? Make haste slowly. We will understand what that means for us. A good example is what happened in the days of Noah. We are told that one of the signs of the times is a passion for injudicious and hasty marriages. Marriage yenye haijapangwa kwa misingi ya mapenzi ya Mungu. And as I'm talking about marriage, for you, maybe I'll just call it courtship, really. Because it's totally not time for that. Satan Satan is in this. Now, if Paul could remain single and recommend the same to others, that he and they might be holy his, and wish to make sure a sure thing of avoiding the chaos, trials, and bitter anguish, so frequent in the experience of those who choose the married life, remain as he was. The marriage life has its woes and it has its disappointments, yet it can be a blessing, and God designed it to be a blessing. By the way, Ecclesiastes 4, should be 4? 5, says 2 are better than 1. I know from experience. By the way, I was of that class who believed in not marrying. Particularly when I got into full-time ministry, I had this clique of friends. Tulikuwa tunachochana. We were on fire for God. We wanted to finish the work. We didn't want to marry. Today, I don't think there's any of us who is not married or is married or not married. None of us. Amen. Thank you for that. Because today, I look at my work as an evangelist prior to marriage and after marriage, and I feel like I've been more useful now.
Amen.
And it's not even been long, by the way. I feel more useful because on your own, okay, particularly for ladies, you are seriously limited by funds, and it is a blessing to know that someone else is taking care of bills. And I wake up, I want an SOP Bible, and it's somebody else's duty to get me that. It may not. That's not the only privilege. There are many other ways. You go out together, you do something he cannot do, and you do something he cannot do. As a Bible worker, I worked as a Bible worker for Amazing Facts, which later moved to Uganda, and I still worked with them until I got married because they don't allow marriages between non-AFCO staff, and I had to quit. But in those days, there are people I wish I could help, but could not, because they were male, basically. And I believe the same for him. There are many people he wish he could reach, but they were women, and there are barriers that come. There is a point beyond which you cannot can't go with a lady. Acha kama wewe ni Bible worker and you're honest, how? You know these sisters of ours, even SOP notes, they are often tempters. They come to you, mtumishi niko na swali. Ile Danieli 11. It has nothing to do with Danieli 11. They know what they want. And they can go all the way, shave, wear long dresses, sing Nanabudu songs until they get you. Then they can go back to their old selves. Mission accomplished. And the minister of God, chilling. He is not useful anymore. That is the work of the devil. Now, another thing that I think is important to mention is, as we eventually form these alliances, it's important to understand that true love is a high and holy principle that is altogether different in character from that love which is awakened by impulse and which suddenly dies when what? Severely tested. You think you love that lady until she tells you after marriage to buy them an SOP Bible. Use that example. And you start feeling like, Mfuko, I used to save much. I think my husband once told me that before I got married, he had lots of savings. But since I am not extravagant, I am very basic and simple it's easy to maintain. Yet he is not able to save as much. Responsibilities too zimeongezeka. All of a sudden he cannot live in a bedsitter. Yeah. All of a sudden we don't eat ugali every day. Men on their own, they just buy sukuma and ugali. Life in a soul. But the lady comes and they want broccoli and cauliflower. But you have to give money for broccoli and cauliflower. Now, true affection will overlook many mistakes. Now, that's what God would have us have. True affection. Love will not even do what? Does not even see that this is wrong. The idea of love that is outside there is purely lust, which we are told we should overcome. The lust of the flesh, the pride of life, and the lust of the eyes. That's what love is, and particularly the media industry, music, and the movie world. How they portray love has nothing to do with the love that the Bible teaches. Because the true principle of love is that makes you bless another person before your own interest. It's not this nipe thing we see. People singing naked, you wonder. You know, one time I saw a song. Well, I don't naturally, but sometimes they're subjected to them. And I see this guy praising a certain lady and how he's going to take him to his mother. And the lady is walking in a, let me call it panty for I'm like, whose mother? Are you taking someone who's walking with an undergarment? And they will say, I'm going to take you to my mother. I'm like, hey, not my mom. That is what they call love out there. Or these fake loves of soap operas that Kinafei want. What love? You know, before I married my husband, I went through just one other relationship. And I was very naive. It was my very first relationship. And the guy brings me flowers. And I'm like, Sunga no no Majunga. I had to learn to appreciate this gesture. Because for me, ungekuja na sukuma, tungekata tukule. But these things are expensive, and tomorrow they're faded. Hiyo hesabu haikuwa inaingia. We have to learn pole. True affection, we're told, overlooks mistakes. Will overlook a lot of mistakes. You don't create every little fault does not become a mountain. But don't know what love is. Does not even see that there is a problem. Everything is beautiful. All they care about is money, sex, and what else? That's what the love out there is. The guy gives money, he gets sex in return. That's love for them. But that's not what God is calling us to. Sadly, many people, when they become acquainted, they are what? Infatuated with each other, and their whole attention is what? Absorbed. Reason is blinded, and judgment is overthrown. They will not submit to any advice or control, but they insist on having their own ways, regardless of what? Consequence. Like some epidemic, corona or contagion, that must run its course is the infatuation that possesses them, and there seems to be no such thing as a what? As stop. Many of you have had fleeces, I'm sure. A fleece is a crush. Just this feeling, you feel attracted to somebody who doesn't even know that you are attracted to them. So they behave like themselves around you. You wish for special attention. But anyway, when you are infatuated, that's not love. It's an infatuation, and most of it does not last when it is tasted. Another one that is close to infatuation is obsession. You are obsessed. Now these things, I don't even know the true science behind your obsession. Because if it was anything true, it should last still. But there comes a time when you're just obsessed with it, you can't think, you're trying to derive those Fourier series derivations, and you, in the middle of nowhere, you're just thinking about Roda. Katikati ya differentiation and calculus, you wonder. You're possessed, you can't think straight, you can't think of your world without them. And eventually, when you see other people talk to them, you are offended. Now see, when Pastor said, wow, how do you claim them as your own? That is wrong. That is not love. If it's anything that is God-given, it must be based upon true love, which is unconditional in its nature. Now notice, we are not supposed to put up with vices. You can put up with a weakness that someone has, but you cannot put up with vices. In fact, we're told if he takes even one glass of liquor, that's not a person you want to share your life with. If he has any other vice, he steals, he is immoral in any way, that's not it. But if he has a weakness, he just simply doesn't know that purple and blue doesn't go well, that's just a weakness. Allow the brother to grow. You know, the people I see today in Uganda, when I was first year, we had people from the lake who were sharp guys, they were engineering bloke. Today they are rich men, but they used to wear gray, blue, purple. Unaona ulikuwa mtu hakuna mahali ataenda. But as they interact with people from other communities who've been to town, they start to realize by the way you don't do striped ties with a checked shirt. And they learn and they drop that off. And soon, unaona watu saba, you wonder, this is the same guy tuliingia na yeye with a purple and blue trousers. Anyway, some of the wrong habits that we need to avoid as we go. Number one, which is a very serious problem amongst our youth, is the problem of imagination and what? Love-sick sentimentalism. We are told we should guard against it as what? As the wool lepers. You know what imagination is? I don't know which word to explain. It's like infatuation. You are infatuated. When you come to money, you have to imagine yourself with someone. You can even imagine your own wedding dress. You know, one thing that you need to understand, which is something that is important to note. Women understand by hearing. Men see. And everything you tell a woman, they multiply by 100. That's science. It is in Nancy Van Dock's book written To Have and Gold. Scientific research. If I tell Faye, I'm a man, you have a nice dress, believe you me, kwa akili yake haiendi hivyo. I carry her bag. Acha tu nikusaidie. I carry her handbag like I saw some brother helping today. I will not blast you. Umembebea tu msichana kabag. Iko tu na Bible, hakuna maneno mengi. You take them, uachie pale kwa gate. Kwa akili ya huyo msichana, that thing is not brother carry my bag. It is not. Multiply that by 100. That's how they work. And that's why, kesho, when the rally is over, anakuona umebebea njeri sasa bana. You are my sister, no responsibility. You must carry 2 bags. For them, those little gestures mean too much. And particularly if you did it repeatedly. That's why it's important to have clear lines. You are not interested in someone, keep off. You remember these guys who just roam around you, they never say what they want. They are just too good to be normal friends. But they will never tell you their intentions. They are just carrying your bag. That is not it for us women. So avoid it as much as you can. And this thing of imagining is mostly with women. And lovesick sentimentalism. You are too like, oh, I wish I could, It's sickly, but like leprosy. We should not just fear it as leprosy. That thing is, I think it's satanic. Lovesick sentiment. You're lovesick. When we function, you're a teacher in class, you're just thinking about someone else. Hauna interest na watoto wako mbele yako. Lovesick sentimentalism. And castle building. I think there should be another paragraph about castle building. Where you start imagining things, multiply kwa mind yako, you leave them for a moment, you build a whole family from just something that doesn't really exist. And even if it does exist, you are in a formal courtship. What I mean by formal courtship is a courtship that is known by both your parents and it is headed to marriage if God allows. Because courtship, we are told, is the sincere desire of two to find out whether it is God's will for them to be united in marriage. That's what courtship is. The sincere desire of two to find out whether it's God's will. That means there's a possibility of finding out that it's not God's will. So not all courtships must end in marriage. There are those which God will reveal you after some time that this sister, shida yake si kungoa tu. Akona shida ingine kubwa, si ndio? And this brother, his issue is not just recycling soap. He has other issues. I personally thought that was a small issue for me. Until I got married, I don't allow it. You may think too and recycle soaps. You will realize they just don't recycle soaps. They recycle other things. So little things may mean much. Anyway, with that said, another bad habit is drinking with hearts. Kuchezea watu. Loving many women. Umeona Faye, you're nice. If I was to marry, I would consider you. And then tomorrow, first year's report. And there's this Ellen White who has come. You will quickly forget the other Ellen White. Now you've seen a new vision. You have been shown. Yeah? Then next year, new ones come. You are shown again. Which God is this showing you? Trifling with heart. We are told it's not a sin of small magnitude. And those many women, you know what happened to Solomon? Eventually we are told in the Bible that those women, what did they do? They caused his heart to follow strange gods. When it is your time to find someone whom you intend to share your life, if it is God's will, you'll be sure it is the one. You are not still window shopping. You are not still looking around. You would rather stay for as long as you can. Hakuna age limit. I don't know where the rush is, by the way. One thing I noticed in Uganda, when a lady reaches 21, they are seriously desperate. They marry really young and their men marry quite young. But one thing that I know, that I used to see in those homes that I wish I had never seen, is the misery. Because they marry Unapata kijana wa 19 amemarry msichana wa 18. None of them has jobs. They are all surviving from the farm maybe ya wazazi wao, and things are not always good. And they are quick to get children. Like mmeoana leo, next year you have a child. Hamna job, hamna any source of income. Yes. Yeah, and they are. And you look at unaenda home, Bible visit. Unashindwa kama huyu msichana hawa watoto ni wake. Because she looks so young. These kids hawana nguo, they have no food. You look at the dad. Anataka kwenda tu kucheza boy. Jua hiyo ndio time yako. He's going to play soccer. Na ameacha msichana kwa nyumba na watoto wawili, hawana kitu. Can you even blame that man? He's not even grown. Young people get him into. Well, how did I even get there? What were I talking about? Many women trifling with hearts. Another thing is engaging strange women. Getting into relationships with people that are strange. Where strange is a very broad term. There may be people of not your faith. It does not mean people that are not of your tribe. But I still believe, to a great extent, don't go two-way cross-culture. Bado inaleta shida zake. We are all children of God in God's church, but outside there it's not the same. Someone was giving me who was telling me about two cultures which can't really coexist, like a Giriama man and a Kisii woman. That is hellfire. That is Nebuchadnezzar. Because the problem is, Giriama men, I am Mijikenda, and I'm not being unfair. Mijikenda men, basically not Giriama, believe in male superiority. Hakuna compromise. And the problem with Kisii women, sometimes they can't keep quiet. If they are not converted, they can't. So you want them to do this and do this. And then they want to do this and do this. So what happens? Konofishana too. Now there are those tribes, people say Kalenjin women are very submissive. I'm not sure. Don't take it as parental advice. But it may not be true. Who knows? Anyway, understand who you are. Understand the culture kwenye mtu ametoka, how they've been brought up. Personally, I'm married to someone of different kind. My husband is Kisii. I am Duruma. And I thank God he's a very calm man. He's not the Kisii I know. They are very good men, Kisii men, who are temperate, who fear God.
Amen.
Okay. I don't know whether those are men that are mocking me. But anyway, understanding background yenye ametoka, you know where I can push and where I restrain. Not because I think they will err, but because they may have those tendencies. So unajua, I'll cook. We will not fight further about that. If he feels like he can, but I don't give it as a rule. Because to them it's disrespectful. That may not be so elsewhere. For others, it's the best thing they can do. But anyway, learn to engage with people that are converted, most importantly. True conversion. Now, another bad habit is people who are fond of the other sex. We are told you are okay, this is someone being written. We are told we've fallen into a sad era which is so prevalent in this degenerate age, especially with hizi bad habits. You are too fond of the other sex. You love their society. Your attention to them is flattering. Brother, umehubiri vizuri, hata kusikia kitu. And you encourage or permit a familiarity which does not always accord with exhortation of the apostle to abstain from all appearance of evil. While we must interact with Christian grace, we are warned against being too fond of the other sex. They are just our brothers, you know. You cannot live your world around men, such that if you don't get male affirmation, you are nobody. Someone must tell you that you are smart, and it's not a fellow lady. Too fond of the other men. You flatter them. That's why what you encourage. A familiarity, kuzoeana, yenye si healthy. We should not be too fond of the other sex. Romantic projects. This is another bad habit that is quite related to that. You mingle your religion with lovesick sentimentalism, which does not what? Elevate, but what does it do? It lowers. By the way, one thing I know about men are naturally supposed to be hunters. You know, they should be the one who do the struggling to express their agenda in clear terms, in clear godly terms. Unless God has clearly shown you to do that, it is a no-no for women. You should not be the one approaching men. That's the line I was looking for. Of course, if God has shown you and you believe it's for God's glory, you can show them what do you call it? Smoke. You don't smoke. Where there's smoke, there's fire. You can just be kind to them so that they know that they can approach you. Because there are some men, they are good men, lakini hawana tu game. They don't know how to start talking to you. God has impressed it upon their heart. There is nothing that stands in the way, but they have zero courage to tell you, my sister, I wish to know you better and pursue this and know whether God is really. They don't have the courage. So you can help such. How do you help them? Make the environment conducive for them to speak. That way their brother didn't help. Make the environment approachable. You never see these women who look like you can't approach them. Because that's what holiness is all about. It's not being unapproachable. It's being Christian. You have your own dignity, but you're also what? A loving and lovable Christian. That's the bottom line. But romantic projects are done nazo. Do not tie people down. You've ever heard of people, ladies, who have made men last sleep with them and get children so that they could trap those men into marrying them? Maybe, I don't know whether it also happens the other way, but it's a very sad thing. I have a friend of mine who was totally obsessed with this guy. And one time, in mission, the lady is like, oh, I can't go home, it's a little late. And she just lingered until it was a little late and the brother was willing to see them off. That's where foolishness began. But eventually she got pregnant of this young man and tried to use that as we can do this thing for the sake of our child. You know, I wouldn't want my child to live without a father and stuff. Eventually the man did marry her, by the way, and she's on her own with her child. Thank God she has a good job. But you see, it's not about money. You need a proper father figure above even the providence. So you may think it will work. You end up with double trouble. Now it's not just you and your problems. There's a child who needs to dress, eat, play, have good toys, clothes. Okay, so where are we? Now, how Christians should act? We are told, let those who profess the religion of Christ descend. Yes. Sorry. I think I already forgot. We had. No, we still have time, my brother. Anyway, we let those who profess the religion of Christ descend to trifling conversation. Is it descend? There's a word there. To unbecoming familiarity with women of any class, married or unmarried. They should keep their proper places with all dignity. At the same time, they may be what? Sociable, kind, and courteous to all. Don't be trifling, but be kind. Now, let me just skip that. Not all women shall not the women professing the truth keep strict guard over themselves, lest encouragement be given to unwarrantable familiarity. Kuondoa hiyo create mazoeano. They may close the many a door of temptation if they will observe at all times strict what? Reserve and propriety of utasaidia sana. If you will dress well and keep reserve. Reserve is to have a boundary around yourself. You don't just go tracking down men. Our sisters should encourage true meekness. They should not be forward, talkative and bold, but modest and unassuming. By the way, that being talkative and bold, you need to understand. It doesn't mean you when get a jizungumza. But it's not forward, you know the way you size men. Men fear women, by the way, who talk too much. You know that? Yeah, and men fear women who know their rights too much. Anyway, so then we will not be unburdened with the undue attention from gentlemen in the church or out. We need time for questions, but this is important to young ministers. The usefulness of young ministers, married or unmarried, is often destroyed by who? Their attachment shown to them by what? Young women. They should show a distaste for such attention. And if they take the course which God would have them, they would not long be in trouble. They should shun every appearance of evil, and when young women are very sociable, it is the minister's duty to let them know that this is not what? Please, we just say, Sante. No. They must be past forwardness, kata. Even if they are thought to be rude, in order to what? Save the cause from reproach. The devil's prime target is ministers of God, and what is his prime weapon? Young women who come flattering you. When a woman is in trouble, let her take her troubles to who? Women. If this woman who has come to you has cause of complaint against her husband particularly, she should take her trouble to some other woman who can, if necessary, talk with you in regard to it without any appearance of evil. Tena wanakujia Bible study. Saa 4, they are calling, I have a question with this voice that has been my friends, run. Escape for your life. They are prophesying other things. Well, there's one that I really wanted. You are told, hata akikusalimiana akawie kutoa mkono. Where is that? We can't read all of these things, but they are good to know. Be jealous of yourself. Never become pastor. Never flatter yourself or accept flattering from any man or woman. When persons attempt to flatter you, tell them that they are giving voice to who? Ambia dada, umeingia kwa mtego wa shetani. Ama ndugu. If a woman lingeringly holds your hand, what should you do? Then you don't want to give. Anakusalimia na hata ishi. What should you do? Pull away until you let it flow. Pull away. It cannot be so. Now,
Hey.
okay. Now, the thing is still long, but there are many other things that you need to know. But those bad practices, let's avoid them. If men want to come to your room and just spend time, hawana agenda, it's 10 p.m., they are around to Akodu. Tell them, my brother, I want to sleep. See you some other time. And these people come and they want you to fix meals for them. It's wrong, men. Neither should a man fund a woman unless she is your wife. Amen. Or you are in a serious courtship na imebidi usaidie. Don't go filling her gas unquote. Do not fund men. Neither should men fund women. That's a no-go zone. It creates all those necessities. Because if someone is funding me 1, 2, 3 times and then leave via rent, when he comes over and asks for sex, what do you think will be in my mind? Am I willing to lose the rent? And most of them will give in because they don't want to lose the funding. God says there should be proper relations. Be sociable, be kind, be respectful, but at the same time, have a boundary around you. Guard yourself. We are told, be jealous for yourself. Usijibebe tu ni kana kwamba wewe uko tu. Now questions. We only have 17 minutes. Any question? Yes?
Happy day.
I have like 2 muscular questions.
Muscular.
I have 2 muscular questions. And the first one is, I had a friend of mine. Let me finish. I had a friend of mine, a man. So if I found a beautiful lady there, unanipata. And then now the next thing is huyu kilimwacha. Unaona? Now alisema I don't know kama alifanya. Huyu nitamtia mimba ya asiniache. So my question is that impregnating a girl a way of securing a girl? That's my first question. Now the second question, there's a notion of many preachers, actually a lot of them saying that you just pray and God will bring that person. So as a man, that chill and relax and wait for a miracle.
The answer to the first question is no. That is sounding no. Actually, pregnancy isn't a reason for you to marry somebody. Ellen White says it is a sin to marry somebody you don't love. So pregnancy shouldn't be at all. Number 2, so not just pray and sit. No. What man can do, God does not do. So you ensure as you pray, you also do your part as a man, especially in line with the will of God.
So I draw line. I draw line.
But you do it as a Christian. You don't break the 3rd commandment that says thou shalt not use the name of the Lord in vain. So ensure you don't use cursing words of swearing and hot word of passion. It's a special breaking to the 3rd commandment. Do it in line. Just be clear. Just be clear. Do not go there and say, okay, it's okay.
I told him you start.
I have an opinion on courtship. Sometimes I am married, but I know most cases, youth, those who are in the church, they tend to ignore, people are letting them ignore men because they have no money. I have an example where you will see church men, those are youth, and the ladies leave church men to outsiders, those are Pentecostals. Why? Because the men in the church they know economy. But mostly those are outside, they are after lust. Yes. So that is where we end up getting a relationship between the church ladies outside the church.
Thank you. Happy Sabbath. Happy day. Ningependa kwanza kukushukuru kwa this topic. Na most time hii topic huwa tunaichukulia mzaha. Jinsi mzungumzaji asubuhi alisema kuwa it is sad kwa sababu mara mingi I watch hata wito ukitolewa tunakuja hapo mbele, then in the evening hizo vitu zenye tumekuja hapo mbele tukisema zisifanyike ndio tunarudia. Now on the issue of courtship, it is very sensitive. Na nataka ni advice kama ndugu zangu, kwa sababu swali linakuja, this generation iko na shida kama umechunguza in terms of malezi yetu na jinsi ambavyo tumelelewa. I don't know issue ya watoto kwenda boarding na kufanya nini ilituharibu to some extent. Because sometimes I look at the ladies wenye tuko nao kanisani and the men, even mature ones wenye wako in terms of age, but they are not ready for marriage. This is in terms of ukiangalia sometimes mimi naketi chini na nafikiria kuhusu watoto wangu, jinsi watoto wangu watakuzwa. Kuna jinsi ambavyo ningependa watoto wangu wafanye nini, wakue. But sasa when you look at how a lady is behaving, majority, it is wanting, very wanting. The same applies to men. So this is a problem. Sijui tutasaidia aje hawa watu wenye wako hapa ndani. Because kesho hii they are the same people. I've witnessed several cases yenye tukikuja kanisani mke na mume wameshikana mikono, wakienda kwa nyumba hawaongeleshani. And this is a decision you make in courtship. Wakati tunazungumzia courtship tunafurahi sana, tuna enjoy na umetuingilia sana wanaume. But it is okay. But kindly it is my humble request that utuonyeshe jinsi ya kutusaidia kwa mahusiano ambayo atatusaidia turaise familia zenye zitamtukuza Mungu. Some of us tuko tu kanisani kutafuta mchumba. Tukipata mchumba, maisha yetu ya Kristo yanarudi chini. And that is the saddest part. So kindly help us on that. Thank you.
Praise God. I agree. Marriage is a very solemn thing. And then I say it is in the marriage hour that many begin to count their successes and their failures. She says again, marriage will affect your life down here and your life in the world to come. And I usually put it this way, there are some people who will miss heaven simply because they got married. Could they have remained single? Could be. They could, by the grace of God, have a hope of being in heaven because of a wrong choice. It's a whole large topic that we need to break. I wonder, why is it that we spend so much time on WhatsApp and not starting messages to young people? Adventist home, letters to young lovers. Why? I think so far I have stand in for 2 weddings. And one condition I tell those people are getting married, you must read those books. It's a condition. So when you come for counseling sessions, you must ensure Adventist home to make a chini, messages to young people to make a chini, letters to young lovers to make a chini. Because many of us, what we are preparing for is weddings, Cinderella gowns, Prado, flowers which we pay 100,000 even to the chapel. That is what we prepare for. But the lifetime event of a marriage, we rarely work towards it. Spend your time to prepare for marriage by studying the principle that the Lord has given us beautiful in His Word and in the spirit of prophecy. The pulpit may not serve you fully, but you have an opportunity to do at the kama ni muhimu kwako. Ijenge, isome, utambue principles and apply them. God is not mocked. In marriage, you don't get what you want, you get what you are. The difference between the other person, huwa ni ndogo sana. Ndogo sana. So as much as you look for, work towards them, God will reward you in the essence of your, or in line with your faithfulness as a young person. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, happy Sabbath. Happy day. I'm asking just 2 questions. So the first one, did our first parent, Adam and Eve, nauliza hivi, did our first parent, Adam and Eve, walidate na waliweza kuingia into that courtship? Ndio tujue sisi, we learn from them that Mungu akikuletea unasonga mara moja ama unapitia process. Another question. Kwa demo ambao unafikia anakukubali haraka na ule mwingine anakukazia, ni nani kuconsider au maanisha nini?
Nani mzuri? Anajiringa kwanza tena katika kukubali. Bila kazini.
Okay, on the first question, Adam marries before the entry of sin. And the Lord provides to a wife for him, and that has no problem. We are living in a world of sin, and you must ensure in our choices we are keen on them. So you can't just wake up from anywhere and then you move. Otherwise, the principle from Adam and God is you can entrust your godly parents to choose for you a mate. And the church was silent. Yes, you can entrust. The second question was how to get easy going. You know, there's some principle we create, but ideally, it's you to take time to ensure that which you want and you've seen and the quality in this particular lady add up to what the Lord wants and your personal preferences. So it's not a matter of hard to get or easy going. It's a matter of is it the will of God and does it mark that which I can withstand forever? Thank you.
Question. Hello. Ni swali. Okay, good evening. Okay, I'm Victor. Okay, I would like to ask this question. Officer talked of God's time is the best. So, like I, Victor, how can I know that it is now God's time? Because according to me,
Let's give him time.
like according to me, I think this is the best time.
Yeah.
So it is now or never. You know, I'm not going to
It depends.
With regards to matters of time, only you and God can know. No one has the blueprint for another. It may be too early for you, but it may be too late for someone your age. So it's you in your closet with God. God is willing to let you know. And He's not just willing to let you know it's time. He's willing to let you know even whom. So get thick with God in the closet, He will show you time. Hakuna now or never. Just know it's particular for everything.
So to the ladies, simesikia like the people.
I don't want to get outside.
No, like nasema, unajua like dear ladies, ni kama hawakogi na time yetu, unaona? Sio nakwagaje? Anyika watupege time, so mtupege time.
You know, one thing that is sure, you may be ready in your estimation and your relationship with God, and she may not be ready. So you don't drag somebody else into your readiness. You allow them also to get ready. Don't put unnecessary pressure, and let them also get to a point where they are ready. The same way you are ready. Exactly.
Happy Sabbath. Happy day.
Happy Sabbath.
I have 3 questions to ask to the participants. Why are you scared? It's for us. So the first question is, we live in an era where the girl child is more empowered. Happy Sabbath. You can see me now? Okay, I have 3 questions. The first question is, we live in an era where the girl child is more empowered. We are told to work hard to have the money to fend our family. But the church is so reluctant to tell us about the marriage. How is the church helping this girl child and the boy child to merge well in the marriage life? because the girl child is more empowered and the boy child is not prepared for that empowered woman. The second question is, our madam has told us that when you are dating, don't give her money, like don't spend so much on her. And we are also encouraged that love is caring, love is compassion, love is empathetic. So, how are we going to know this man can send the family? How will he take care of me if he can't provide during the dating period? Okay. The third question is, the third question is this. When we are talking about waiting and marriage, there is a virtue that we calculate, that is patience. And in that patience, we are supposed to be pure. And at the same time, there is this Ojen when he walks, I'm humble. Like I'm dating him in mind. Are we supposed to be pure in our body and also in our mind? Thank you.
Okay, first question. The church is doing much to help us. That's why we are here. This is the church today. And we are living here, we are telling you, go and read messages to young people, go and read Adventist home, go and read letters to young lovers. Don't trust our problem in this generation, not just young people, the church at large. We have made our faith to be pegged on the pulpit. We want to be fed from the pulpit. So when it's not taught, we feel the church is not doing something. You are the church. Do something for yourself. Pick the messages to young people and study to know what is the will of God. The second question was, how will you know that he cares if he can't provide? You'll know that he can provide in the future by seeing how he's working hard to provide for himself. Amen. Listen to me. I want us to listen. Your claps are so cool, but I understand the principle that as you get out of here. Okay. Tunisia has mentioned something that I want to echo out. Now, silence, let's be together here. When you accept gifts and offers, it becomes easy for you to compromise. Easy for you to compromise. Number two, men, when you give offers and gifts, it becomes easy for you to also compromise because, Harper, there is how I put my investment here. Just this week in the crusade we're just having a random talk during a dinner. And a young man mentioned something that was very sorry. I actually felt for him. Patrick, was that oh, okay, I'm safe to say this. He says he paid for a lady school fees in Sanzu to Kisii for the entire period. 3 years, 94K per year. Only the lady akimaliza akamwaga. He says he felt like dying. So when you are cancelled, your boyfriend is not your father. Listen. When you are cancelled, differentiate between the boyfriend and your father, you should understand that. He should do that from his heart ya kwamba ameamua tu kusaidia. Not that it is your right and it is necessary, as you said, kwamba asaidie. But as much as we can, let us avoid things ambayo even when we're supposed to break up the relationship, we're not be able to. Two things about a way of blinding people. They don't see sense even when it's supposed to break the relationship. One is offers, two is sex. Those two things, inafanya mtu, I meet ladies who come to me tell me, Robinson, my boyfriend beats me, I love him, what do I do? Ninatamani mwambie kutikisa kichwa kama akili ama iko. Because if he beats you and he has not taken kuku, as they say, kwenyu, what if he takes kuku kwenyu? You'll be in the news, mwanamke achinjwa na vichogo. So we must ensure we go away from gifts as much as possible and let it be pure affection, a principle and not a feeling. Thank you. There was one more question. What was it?
I had a question.
Okay.
My question is on marriage. There are these guys, even the pastors, when you wanakuwa, they get married, they have a beautiful wedding,
they stay for like 10 or 20 years or more, and it comes to a point that the lady passes on. And after some time, even about a month, the pastor gets another lady as a wife. How can you relate that with our Christianity and us as dear members and our
Give her time.
and our men not able to stay alone or even our network control that they can do it without ladies.
The Bible is clear on that. It allows that when somebody has been bereaved, they are allowed upon their choice to remarry or to remain single. The Bible says if they can't hold, she said it's a rare gift, by the way. So Paul says instead of banning, actually Swahili is very good. Badala ya kuwaka na tamaa, anasema oa. So the point is this, ya kwamba it's allowed in the Bible, even if they can't control themselves. It's good that the solution of their lack of self-control is a good one, is getting married.
I have a question.
Okay.
We are told that when you marry a lady, she's your flesh and she's the rib. Now, huyu mwingine anatoka wapi? Kwani mtu ako na
Okay, thank you. There is only one condition in the Bible that renders somebody unmarried after a marriage union. You know what that condition is? Death. Only. So it means akifiliwa is rendered unmarried because the how do you call it? The union that was existing has been dissolved. That's why we said married till death in verdict. Till death, by the way. Ensure you have made your choices so well before you make that statement. Utatamani kifo kije akisije. You will wake up in the middle of the night and Mungu hili nini unipatia. In this sense, it was your personal choice. Utatamani Yesu aje. Na everyone will be very zealous in preaching that Christ comes, lakini haji because of one wrong choice. I'll tell you for a fact, there are many people who are married today, even could be our parents, who regret the decisions that they made. So today you have this avenue to ensure usisukumwe tu na fika na weupe. I don't know, tall black hands, you whatever handsome. The Bible says beauty is vain and it passes away. But a woman who fears the Lord, that's what? Abides forever. Let me say something. How many came here today for the first time? How many came here today for the first time? You all? Okay. When you came here in the morning, was here beautiful?
Yes.
Very, yeah? Is the same beauty that caught your eyes when you have the same that you have here? No. So if you are what attracts you to a person is only the physical, you're doing away with that. But if that's what attracts you to a person, utazoea na kuishi uanze kutafuta mwingine ambaye attract from outside. So let's ensure we make proper decisions.
Amen.
Thank you.
I have a last question.
Our time is really
A question.
It's past time.
we are 5 minutes per time. We will allow that to be the last one.
I'm asking to the chat. When you are dating with the person, inafika mahali huyu mtu anakupeleka kwa magistrate, you sign a contract. Is that really happening? Unafika mahali you get another relationship yenu is so much serious, and this guy anakuambia we need to go to a magistrate, we sign for a contract. Is it really love or is lust?
That is last. But in as much as I think we need to realize also, God acknowledges marriages that are done in the court of law equally. Before God, they are equally married. Because not everyone has enough light as you do today. But again, anything that happens, he takes you to a magistrate.
Have they done what is necessary? And your parents are where? Do you have the blessing of your own parents? Are you ready? Are you healthy? There are so many slides you could not do, but being ready means you're healthy, mind-wise and body-wise. You're able to finance a home, particularly for men. You're able to run a home. You're able to provide not just money, but equally security, leadership, priesthood, all those things. If one is ready and they wish to see a magistrate, I think it depends with what kind of home. But we know, for us Christians, God desires that we will solemnize our marriages in front of God's church. Because marriage is supposed to represent the union between God and the church. It's not just for companionship and procreation. Right together? Now, just something that came up. Hii kitu ya kuangalia nje, I think it's also plaguing a lot of youth today. Most people are more willing to do away with principle for outward look. We love how they dress. They have bow ties and stuff.
Suspender.
The suspender. We're going to have them. Those things will go. Beauty will fade. Loveliness, outward loveliness goes away. Most women, by the time you have your first, second child, you don't look so much the way you looked before then. So if it was based on outward look, then your husband will go looking for someone who looked like you when they married you. Or women, all of a sudden, upon a kitambi, you didn't envision it before, and now you still want to. Those things must not be the foundation. There's something better. It must be built on loveliness of character as Christ. And if someone who is like Christ, that should be the goal. And if you want someone who is like Christ, you must be like Christ. It's unfair to want someone whom you are not. You want someone who has money and you're lazy. It doesn't work like that. Now, there's a question about the girl child and empowerment. There's nothing wrong with empowering girl children. What is wrong is the wrong idea of feminism that is there today. Like, you are good to go, study, earn your own money, you don't need a man, you can be what they are. That's not biblical. The position of, it doesn't mean we don't study, but the truth is, even in a home where the woman is more empowered or what, the husband must still be the provider unless he is incapacitated in a way that is understandable. Hata kama ninaaje, it is my husband's role to provide security. Na hiyo ndio huleta kiburi. Is that feeling like we siwezi ambiwa? And the one who pays rent, what are you saying? But anyway, we need to learn that God's idea of motherhood, na imeandikwa kwa many Adventist home. You can read there and find out what God expects of a husband and equally what God expects of a man. If we are truly Christians, these things will not affect us. Yeah? All right. Yes, my sister there, and then just one more. I'm sure I can be up. Okay, my question is, happy Sabbath. Happy day. Happy day. Swali langu ni, you get married to somebody after maybe 5 years, you're not compatible, inakuwa vigumu, maybe mko na mtoto mmoja. Is it right as a Seventh-day Adventist church to divorce someone? The Bible says in Malachi chapter 4 that God hates divorce. Now, there are of course equally instances under which legal separation is acceptable. There was a time in her life when Ellen White was equally separated, legally separated from James White, until they could solve their problems, and then they got back together. If it's something that is totally sapping out life and is risking heaven, in the fear of God, walk away. But the bottom line is God hates divorce.
Now, this is another thing that is important to note. Many people think that after I'm divorced, I am free to remarry. But if you read Romans chapter 7, the Bible sanctions remarriage on the basis of faith. Now, there are circumstances under which you may be allowed to remarry even if their partner is not there. You may read that from early life. Adventist Home, there's a whole chapter on divorce. But basically, move on and how do you find out that you are incompatible after 5 years? Because that's the point. When we say, what is courtship? The sincere desire of two to find out whether it's God's will for them to unite in marriage. And we are told you would rather break off an engagement than a marriage. Even if it's 2 days to the wedding and you realize you don't run away. You just explain
Don't run.
that if maybe in a jeopardize eternity. And in the fear of God, live it. Many people, even in abusive relationships, choose to stay because of their children. But you know what? It affects the children more than if you left. Most kids would be happier if their parents left than if they watch their mother being battered or their father being battered. It also happens the other way. There are women who take their husbands seriously. So God helps divorce, basically. Yes.
Happy Sabbath.
Happy day.
I have a crucial question to put across.
Sorry?
I have a crucial question to put across.
Yes.
I was asking this way. In this way, I'm very potential. Sijiwezi. But sasa, unfortunately, sina appetite ya kufanya familia. Yes. So I'm opting to just give in my sperm. Yeah. So huyu mama aende tu afanye fertilization na hii kitu na that's all. Kwa sababu hata Mungu anasema go feed the earth. Lakini mimi sina potential ya kufika na hii familia. But
Lakini usaidiana.
Is that right?
It is not right. It is not right. God designed that children, listen, God designed that children will be brought up. How God defines a home is a father and a mother that takes care of children. Donating sperm is actually very satanic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is satanic. If you don't feel like marriage, Paul said what? Hauna potential kaa. Kaa peke yako na sperm yako. Yes.
God is good. And all of the time. I don't think this is a mega topic that need a lot of time. So my question is, I'm stable. I've seen her ready to marry. What is the span period that we need to take so that we may we may date, may and the best place to be and the best action to do in that coaching period.
Well, that's a very broad question to ask there. But hakuna blueprint ya kila mtu. I personally dated for 6 months.
Only.
Courtship. 6 months from day one to our wedding. It took 6 months. And I don't regret it. Why? Because number one, for me and for him as well, we had prior known each other, not in the confines of a relationship. We had studied together. I quite knew him from campus. He quite knew me. So when we came together and we bring our visions together, we realized there is not so much what the time, as in time we are in. That's an instance. Now, if you're totally meeting someone that is really new to you, and we are encouraged in the spirit of prophecy to marry a friend.
Amen.
choose, and it mostly the right person for you is amongst your choice of friends. Because if someone was totally unpleasant, they would not be your friend. They would not be in your circle. So how long is dependent on yourself. Now, another thing, people may delay marriage because they are waiting to be stable. But that's a wrong approach because number one, before we fikiria kuoa, there are things that should come earlier. Like you should be ready health-wise, financially, before you start courting anyone. So when they enda msichana wa watu 7 years unatafuta do. Haiwaki hivyo. But time is gone. And then now in marriage, we've already said sex is out of question, we know. One important thing is to notify your parents. We are told any man who engages the affections of a young woman without the knowledge of her parents is a thief. Underhand method. So if you want to marry me, the first assignment you come to me and tell me, Sister Tresia, I believe we can try. So the first thing I tell you is, this is my mom's number. And this is our home address. You will go to my home and talk to my mother. If she says yes, I would court you, then I would. That's God. Now, if you don't have God fear, because there is a limit. Tunaambiwa pia, if their parents who don't care, whether their daughter is where they don't care. If that is the case, go to women in your church who are God fearing. Ask that man to talk to a woman in church who will represent your parents. That way it makes them responsible. They know I am answerable not just to this lady but also to her parents and to God. Because that is a preliminary. Once their parents know and they have agreed, the next thing is get to know them. And that means so many things for people. Because how do you know people from the outside? If you really want to know someone, you must be in their inner circle. Uko nje, we all see you as a deconnection. Only in the confines of a relationship can you know what she is besides being a deconnection. Take them out, have group dates, open places. Of course, we don't really encourage closed door, even if it's lesson reading. We don't, it's not very good. Know who they are. If you find there's something that is a red flag, you need to talk what is a red flag. In the fear of God, call it quits.